Yes? What's up? What's wrong? What's up? I have no idea what we're even talking about. Okay. Wopka. Let's play a little bit of Blitz. Waiting to see if anyone answers that link I saved or just randomly shows up. I've got a couple of other things in store once we get underway. Amongst other things, I found some hot bullshit in my YouTube recommendations that I think might be worth tearing to shreds. Okay, this is my favorite. Is he gonna do the Queen F6 that I'm hoping for? Come on, Queen F6, you know you want to. I actually hold back on my knight specifically. Oh, spoil sport. He did what the only good move. Okay. Usually, like 9 times out of 10 when somebody sets that up, and I push E3 to open up a discovery with my queen, their next move is completely obliviously to play queen f6, which allows me to just take the knight, and often I end up getting both of their rooks as well. But Porca here has done it properly, annoyingly enough. Oh. And yeah, I see that meeting threat, and not falling for it. Okay, unless he does anything totally annoying, I'm going to be occupying this diagonal in just a second. Yeah, I don't see any reason not to there. Nice wee fork. Ah, thank you. That's what I was hoping for. Okay. I ended up getting that knight for free after all. Now let's bugger up some pawn structure. Really? Okay. Bring somebody else into this attack. And GG. Okay, for now we're going to move over to something that I had found in my YouTube recommendations and seemed like the sort of thing that might be good for dunking. I've never heard of this account. I've never heard of anything. It's just the ridiculous title here. Epic Battle, Jordan Peterson versus Insane Leftist Host. Now, I wonder what this leftist host is going to be. Yeah, I mean, this could be completely fucked up, and I haven't watched it, I should note, so I might not end up getting through the entire thing. It might turn out to be considerably worse than expected, but it seems like something worth checking out. And okay, this is Coin Trader Official.
The self-proclaimed professor against political correctness is now making more than $50,000 per month through online donors, and he's got big plans for the future.
Okay. Who the hell is... Okay, go on, looking at the comments. I was only doing that because I was hoping maybe somebody would say who that host is. She looks very familiar to me, but...
It isn't really about the right to decide. It's about the right to insist upon by force.
Oh, yes. Oh, this is where he lies about Bill C-16 and...
Professor Jordan B. Peterson made national headlines last fall for refusing to use genderless pronouns, even appearing on this show.
And I've been thinking about this political correctness issue for a long time, and it's been bothering me.
His viewpoint caused controversy, but also gained him supporters who flocked to his YouTube channel, helping him rack up millions of views for his online lectures.
And huge amounts of money just for having lied about what Bill C-16 actually said. Because it did not say anything about pronouns. It did not say that it was actionable if somebody's pronouns were not used or weren't used properly. It didn't deal with that at all. The whole thing was a complete lie. And he made a mint on it.
Now, to subsidize his production costs, he's turned to the crowdfunding site Patreon.
A number of people have been attempting to take me to task for the fact that my Patreon support has been, let's call it, overwhelmingly successful.
Aiming
yeah, 50 grand a month. I mean, what the fuck?
to build on his online success, Peterson is setting his sights on an even bigger goal.
I want to move genuine humanities education out of the universities where it isn't being taught anyways, as far as I can tell, online where people can access it freely.
Oh god, I'm not sure I really even want to know what Jordan Peterson thinks genuine humanities education is. It certainly doesn't involve knowing how to read a fucking bill.
Joins me now in studio. Good to see you again. Thanks for being here.
Morning.
Why start an
I'm having trouble hearing this.
online university?
Well, because the technology is ready for it. That's the most important issue. There's absolutely no reason why high-quality education can't be made available to masses of people at low cost.
Yeah, but we're talking about your project here.
So, and since that's possible, there's absolutely no reason not to do it.
I mean, you say low cost, you're saying that students would only pay for their examinations? Is
Well,
that
that would be,
structure?
we're not sure exactly how it would run, but the one possibility would be a monthly subscription that would help pay for the content, but the primary source of revenue would be for on the accreditation end, on the examination end, for sure.
So how would this work for
Okay.
students? What would they see? What would they learn?
Well, we would probably start with a list of the 100 greatest books of Western civilization. I think we'd start.
Oh, so this is just basically, he hasn't even got like an original, like, this is the Bloom grift, the whole great books education bullshit, where supposedly there you can actually clearly, objectively determine what the 100 great books are and all this shit. I mean, this isn't. I mean, this actually, there are universities in the US that actually are based entirely on this extremely narrow and reductive idea of humanities education. So this grift isn't even his idea, really.
Started as a great books program, and we're thinking about making a timeline. Imagine a timeline that stretches, say, from 3000 BC up to the present time that you could zoom in on. And imagine lectures that would be available at different levels of resolution. So, for example, you might have a lecture about the 2000 to 1000 BC and the major occurrences during that period. That you could zoom in and get specialty lectures where the historical knowledge.
This exists already.
Information at that level of resolution, and then the content. I don't know yet. I think getting the underlying technical structure right at the moment is more important than the content, because I think content would generate itself if the incentive systems were set up properly.
Why do you think this would work more effectively than traditional university format?
Because the traditional universities have abandoned the humanities.
But
They've become almost entirely corrupt, as far as I can tell.
But you are a tenured university professor at the University of Toronto.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you reconcile those two?
Well, the university disciplines that still have some grounding in science seem to be, I would say, still intact. But the humanities, we know, for example, that in the United States, the ratio of Democrats to Republicans in the humanities is about 30 to 1. It's taken an
citation needed, but even granting that, it's worth remembering that in the United States, just pretty much every study that's actually looked into it finds people who identify as Republican or will admit to voting Republican are the minority.
An unbelievable leftward tilt, and about 80% of humanities papers are never cited once. And the humanities have been dominated by a kind of postmodern neo-Marxist, what would you call it?
Okay. Okay, so the guy who, yes, wants to jumpstart humanities education doesn't understand that postmodernism and Marxism are kind of not the same thing, and that there's, like, actually a fair bit of tension between those schools of thought. Is this where he coined this bullshit term? Or was he already using it? I wonder if this insane leftist host is going to challenge him on that nonsense.
Call it cult ideology since the 1990s, probably starting in the 1960s. And so they've abandoned their mission to students. Their mission should be to teach students to speak, to think, and to read, and to become familiar with the best of the world, fundamentally. So
best of the
that
world.
They can hone their cognitive skills and operate effectively in the world, and I don't believe they're doing that at all. I think it's a scam pretty much from top to bottom, and it's a very expensive scam.
And he would know about expensive scams because he's making $50,000 a month on Patreon off of lying about what Bill C-16 was about, and he's never actually admitted that it was bullshit, even though it takes 5 minutes or less of research to find that there's no substances at all to his claims. So yeah, he would know about scams.
So it's too top heavy. It's going to topple.
So would you continue to work at the University of Toronto
Sure.
if you started up this online university platform?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
What's been the reaction from your colleagues?
Oh, minimal. I mean, the reaction from the university to the political turmoil that I was embroiled in was first negative, and then I would say neutral, and now things seem to be just fine. my colleagues haven't really said anything either about the political turmoil, about this plan. So
The political turmoil being when he said a whole bunch of transphobic shit and lied about Bill C-16. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to know that the reaction was negative.
but I don't think that the plan, the change, I don't think will come from within the universities anyways, because generally speaking, when there's a new technology introduced, it isn't the old systems that adopt it.
Okay, what's the new technology, though? You mean websites? What, streaming video? I mean, this is already, like, who exactly are you talking to who doesn't know that this stuff already exists? I mean, the Open University was doing this on television fucking decades ago. New technology.
They're not capable of operating in the new technological world because it requires a new approach. And you might ask, well, why do I have the expertise to do that? And perhaps I do.
Yeah, I kind of fucking wonder.
But I have worked on software development for 25 years, and I have some good partners and a lot of people who are interested in helping me with this.
Seems like a lot of people, $50,000 a month is a lot of money. Are you surprised by that?
I'm staggered daily by that, of course.
Yeah, you and me both.
Of course, it's absolutely overwhelming.
And that money goes to...
Well, it goes to, right at the moment, one of the things that's helped funding is I'm doing a series on the psychological significance of the biblical stories. And I used that money to rent the Isabel Bader Theater up front for 12 weeks and to hire a film crew. And it goes in part to help me cover the costs of the videos that I keep making. And it also, well, that's fundamentally what it's doing at the moment.
When do you expect this to be up and running?
Okay, where's the part where... I mean, where's the verses in this so far? Okay, this is just the most bland shit ever. I mean, she's not even challenging him on the political turmoil here. Does she start challenging him at all? Okay.
Do you think that was happening a lot? I mean, like,
I think it's a dreadful thing to have to go to the police if you're being sexually assaulted. But
Okay.
My pleasure.
here's a question.
Well, I posed.
Here's a question. Let's have a real question. Can men and women work together in the workplace?
Yeah. Well, let's see. Yes, these are the... Okay, we've had this.
Yes, I do it.
How do you know?
Because I
Well, because it's been happening for a very long time.
work with a lot of women.
Right. Well, it's been happening for what, 40 years?
No.
And things are deteriorating very rapidly at the moment in terms of the relationships between men and women.
What?
It's like we don't know if men and women can work together
But
successfully.
in what ways? Because, like,
in the sexual harassment way.
40 years ago, I would have been.
Well,
Well, I don't know if I was a white man, I would have been Jacqueline's boss, and I could have done whatever I wanted, right? And that there would be almost no recourse that a woman who's working under me would have. Now they have some recourse. I mean, is that a?
It was
yes, that's what he means by deterioration of the relationship.
Of course, back then too, you could take people to the police.
Do you think that was happening a lot? I mean, like
Okay, this is actually old shit. I wanna see where the insane
Maybe
left.
it is.
What is? I
What's
guess
the
like
evidence
not to
that it
ask
is?
you to sort of prove a negative, but I think that there is plenty of evidence if you look at all the stories that are coming out. Do you not feel like any of the stories that you've heard about what Hollywood is like? Do you feel like that's not evidence that this is a problem?
Evidence that Hollywood is a problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I look at Hollywood, all these people coming out of Hollywood talking about how sexual misbehavior is a problem, and I think people in
Sexual
Hollywood are talking about
misbehavior?
that. They've been capitalizing on sexual misbehavior for like 100 years.
Correlation. and
Why are they
causation there.
separate worlds? We don't know how to draw the boundaries.
Because
So
why-
here's the
So
question.
do you feel like any movie that has like if you talk about sex in your classroom, or if you talk about
entertainment industry does nothing but exploit women sexually. Is that true or not? And if it is true, then aren't they contributing to the problem? And if they're contributing to the problem,
But
then
you-
where's all the ethical...
But you're arguing at that point that Hollywood is one sort of totemic idea, that it is one sort of
Okay,
that
this
a
is-
woman who works in entertainment must then like play.
This is old news.
pledge allegiance to this idea of sort of totemic Hollywood and not come out and give her story. Like you're saying
No,
that like if
she can come out and give her
that
story.
she's like somehow complicit in all of it.
The degree to which we're all complicit in what's going on is unspecified. I said already, we don't know how to have an adult conversation about sex.
Yeah, that's that much is clear. How has that not been clear?
Surprising. It's not the least bit surprising. So, but
I don't like. So then, what is it then? Like, because this seems to be like the sort of collectivist.
Wait a second though. So, a psychology professor who doesn't know how to have an adult conversation about sex. That's a hell of a fucking ambition to be making,
Thing
isn't it?
that you rail against. You're saying that Hollywood is one thing, and that Hollywood made its own bed, and therefore Hollywood should not speak about this issue because they're the ones that were pushing this agenda.
no, it isn't that they shouldn't speak about it.
Or that
They should
do
speak
not have the
carefully
moral
about it.
authority.
Is there sexual harassment in the workplace? Yes. Should it stop? That'd be good. If it did, that'd be good. Will it? Well, not at the moment it won't, because we don't know what the rules are.
Do you
Well, yes, we know what the rules are. Don't sexually harass people.
think men and women can work in the workplace together
I don't know.
without sexual harassment?
We'll see.
We'll see. How many years will it take for men and women working in the workplace together
More than
to
40.
get a sense? More than 40.
We're new at this.
We're new at this.
Absolutely. We're completely new at it. It's only
This is coming from the guy who thinks that having a website is new
been
technology.
a couple of generations. That's part of the problem, right? Is that we don't know what the rules are. Like, what? Here's a rule. How about no makeup in the workplace?
Oh, this
Why would
bullshit.
that be a
Okay, let's.
Why should you wear makeup?
So
I
then
didn't
what
say
is
so.
it
Whatever
then?
comes will come. But I
that
think
is-
Okay, this is actually. This has been done. Okay. Let's hear what done. Here's one. Oh, it's only 5 minutes. That's not too bad.
Without a family unit, the Soviet Union would have not have been able to last as long as it did. China would not be where it is.
This is Caleb Maupin on what he reckons is the actual Marxist position on the family. Actual Marxist being apparently.
Now, neither would Vietnam or Cuba. So what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I think that, like, again, it's taking part of Marxism, all right, and blowing it up into something different. And that's what kind of the mainstream, the mainstream left, I guess you could call it, the synthetic left has done, right?
Here we go with the synthetic left again.
Marxism, if you read The Origin of the Family, Private Property and State by Frederick Engels, he does a very good job of kind of, overthrowing this myth, right? And I remember this, right? You'd see right-wingers that were against gay marriage. They'd have bumper stickers that say, marriage equals one man plus one woman, and then it would have a Bible verse, right? And I'd always go up to them, I'd say, it's interesting because Moses had, I think, hundreds of wives, and Abraham had how many wives? And, and then it's true. It's real. For the majority of human history, there was no marriage.
Okay, where's
There were
the
tribes
actual Marxist position, though,
of 20
Caleb?
to 30 people who were kind of a family all together, and they didn't even keep track of whose kid was whose kid. But then, with the origin of private property, you have the institution of marriage, and the marriage is a man and all of his slaves and all of his wives, right? And it could be however many he wanted, right? And then now,
This is like practically a quote from the West
speed up
Wing.
for like 1,000 years, we have monogamy, and now we're starting to have gay marriage, right? And that Marxism, blows to bits the myth that there's a sacred, like it's one sacred way the
Okay, this
family
is
should be.
better than.
One.
This is actually considerably better than his attempts to interpret Marxism most of the time. It's actually better than I was
One
expecting.
father, one mother, multiple children. That is the sacred way a family must be. Well, Marxism says not necessarily, right? And it shows that there's a dialectical thing, that as the economic base of society changes, the nature of the family structure changes, right? And that's very good, because this notion that there is one sacred way, well, if you're gay or lesbian, you're going to feel like, oh, I don't belong, and I'm not able to. have a family the way I want it. Or, I mean, maybe there's, a woman who wants to have children and she has the economic means. She wants to be a single mother.
Right.
I mean, that Marxism says, well, this lie that is used by oppressive institutions, there's one sacred way it must be, not necessarily. And with gender, it does the same thing. It shows that gender expression is very different throughout history, right?
Yes, and so what do you think Marx might say about the turf that you platformed and then defended having platformed, and all your transgender ideology bullshit?
Some indigenous tribes had many different genders, and in some cultures,
See, okay, why the fuck didn't you say this to Jyoti Brar?
men act some ways, and in some cultures, men act very differently, right? And and that Marxism is good for that. Now, that's different though than a lot of the main.
See, okay, what gets me here is, seriously, what we're seeing is that he could actually have challenged Jyoti Brar on this. He isn't completely ignorant on the subject, unlike so many other subjects he holds court on. He could have, and then he didn't, and then he doubled down on that. He really could have.
Mainstream left take that, and then they say, like, well, it's not that the family changes based on economic circumstances. We're going to change the family.
Okay, and this is, we're going to change the family. Okay,
based on what we think is the more egalitarian way of doing things.
Right.
I'm not going to just let people live however they want to live and recognize that this idea that there's a sacred way of doing things is not
yeah, where's your citation on that?
right. We're going to actively tell people they shouldn't have a family unit, right? We're going to actively tell people if you take on a traditional gender role, you're inappropriate and you need to be...
Who's doing this?
And that's a different kind of thing, okay? And people have the right to
Like, where's the examples of this?
live however they want in terms of a family. People have the right to express their gender however they want. But at the end of the day, right, that this idea that we should be actively deconstructing things, we should be mobilizing active deconstruction is very different than what Marx was talking about.
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, he was actively deconstructing things, as you just pointed out. God, I mean, it's like he memorizes these things and only actually manages to parse them to a certain point. What the thing by Friedrich Engels? Yes, his name was Friedrich, not Frederick. First of all, yeah, that was deconstructing the concept of the family right there. And other people are, so what you're saying is, he did it, and now other people are doing it, and you're saying that they shouldn't do that because, the material conditions?
I think that's, the right wing says it's a Marxist war on the family. I don't think it's that. I think it's that people have taken Marxism and run in a different direction.
So he accepts the idea that there is a war on the family from what he calls the synthetic left. He accepts the right-wing talking point, which is such complete bullshit, especially coming from right-wingers.
Direction.
Right. And I think to that point, what we kind of see, the kind of destructive mentality of a lot of the synthetic left and the people kind of LARPing as leftists.
Yeah, people LARPing as leftists. Well, this is something that Caleb Maupin can speak to. He LARPs as a leftist all the time.
That they want to destroy. So they look at the kind of monogamous relationship and they want to break that down. But there's no talk of actually, what about expanding the family? What about including grandparents, including, uncles and aunts, having larger families? So when...
Yeah, who's stopping you?
And I notice, I don't want to sound identity politics here, but I do notice this specifically with white anarchists generally talk quite a bit about this. Let's get rid of, couples. Let's just live all on our own, this.
Yeah, I've literally never heard this, and anarchists, many of them white, are like the people I've had the closest political contact to over the entirety of this century. Where the hell is he getting this?
Stuff. And the thing is, when you go to that message to colonized people who colonial institutions have tried to break up communities, tribes, families. When you go to people of a colonized background and say, we want to get rid of the family, that is not a winning strategy.
Yeah, and who's using that
And you
strategy?
hear tons of people, specifically conservatives of ethnic minority backgrounds, discuss this, going, the left want to destroy families and to colonize people. That's a serious, like,
And it's complete bullshit. Like, where the if this is happening, could like one of you come up with an example? See, I was beginning to worry that I wouldn't have anything to talk about here because when he was recapping Engels, he actually wasn't completely wrong, although it did kind of. But then it turns out that well, he doesn't want people to continue doing what Engels did in the 19th century and continue analyzing it and deconstructing it now.
scary thing that people have dealt with for generations. And for many people, keeping the family together is seen as a sign of resistance against colonization. So when you hear some people on the left talking about like destroying the family, that freaks people out. Like,
No, it's not destroying the family, first of all. It is not destroying the family. That's not the term. That's complete bullshit. I mean, there is discussion of abolishing the family, and that does not actually mean having everybody live completely individually and breaking up, these social units that exist in whatever form that they're taking. It means eliminating the economic coercion. In fact, the concept of abolishing the family, see, if he actually understood any of the shit that he reads, he would know that this idea goes back to Marx and Engels. They're talking about the bourgeois family and the economic constraints that cause it to take a certain form when it could actually take other forms, and that recognize certain forms of it in, give it some sort of legal recognition, social recognition, and not others. Nobody's talking about destroying the family. I mean,
we're talking specifically about the nuclear family being the only model. It's not wrong to have that model, and it's not wrong to want to just live on your own, not have a partner if you want. Tons of people want to do that too.
Who's telling you not to?
But let's, instead of talking about limiting the family, let's talk about expanding it. And
what the? Seriously, where's this guy
That's
getting
a
any of
message,
this crap?
Who
is he even?
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? I thought we would just have another.
Okay. That's enough, Caleb, for the moment. I think I might. Let's see. Just make sure, because I had the connection drop on me briefly. Okay. Maybe play a little bit more chess. Okay, somebody already disliked this. What the hell? It's Caleb Maupin. There are people, of course, it's already disliked. He sucks. He's a suck person. Okay, Sweet Poison 007. go. That's fine. Okay. Okay, that's one piece seen off. Okay. Thank you. So much for that. GG. You really got a castle there? Okay. Oh god, damn it. Okay, my king side is well fucked. think that will be it for tonight.